Hello, dear chosen ones. How are you today? Before we begin, I want to take a sacred pause to say this from the heart: thank you. Truly, deeply, thank you. Whether you've supported this mission through a super thanks, shared these videos, or simply shown up in silence just to receive, know this: your presence here matters. You are not just a viewer. You are a part of something divine that is unfolding. You are a carrier of light, and your energy is helping make this space sacred. I see you. I honor you. And I am grateful for you. Every prayer you've whispered, every moment you've chosen to lean into the voice of truth, every tear you've shed in private that no one saw, God saw it. And He is not overlooking you. Your faith, your courage to seek, your willingness to grow, it all plays a role in this spiritual journey we are on together. And because of your presence, we are able to continue bringing forth these divine messages that are not just meant to inform, but to awaken, transform, and align you with the purpose God planted within you long before the world even knew your name. Now, let me ask you something, and answer this honestly, not just with your mind, but with your memory. Have you ever suddenly heard a high-pitched sound, soft or piercing, rising in your ears out of nowhere? A moment that caused you to pause, to tilt your head slightly, wondering what it was? Maybe it came when you were about to fall asleep, or in the middle of a quiet walk, or during a deep moment of reflection. Maybe it was fleeting, or maybe it lingered. But it caught your attention. If you've experienced this, you're not alone. This phenomenon, often dismissed as background noise or explained away as something physical, might be far more than it seems. Because what if I told you that the ringing in your ears is not random at all? What if it's not a coincidence, not a glitch in your biology, but a signal? A whisper? A spiritual alert from a realm that speaks in frequencies far above human understanding? What if it's heaven trying to get your attention, not with thunder or fire, but with a quiet, sacred vibration? You see, so many people are quick to ignore these moments. They write them off as medical, meaningless, or mundane. But chosen ones, those who are spiritually awake, cannot afford to do that anymore. Because if your soul has been hearing this call, it may be that your awakening is closer than ever. This ringing could be the very message you've been asking for. Not shouted, but whispered. Not sent to the masses, but placed gently in your spirit, because you were ready to hear it. And if what I'm saying is stirring something within you, if you're feeling a sense of recognition right now, I invite you to take a sacred action. In the comments below, write the number 777. Why? Because 777 is more than a number. It's a spiritual code. A symbol of awakening, alignment, and divine timing. It means, yes, I hear the call. Yes, I'm open to receive. Yes, I'm ready for what's next. Let's see how many of us are hearing the same call. You are not alone. You are not imagining things. There are others, just like you, feeling the same pull, sensing the same shift, receiving the same sign. And by sharing this simple number, you're not just commenting on a video. You're making a declaration in the spirit: I am awake. I am listening. I am being transformed. So now, take a deep breath. Settle into this moment. Because what we're about to explore together goes beyond surface understanding. This is not just about sound. It's about spirit. It's not just about what you hear. It's about what your soul is ready to receive. This is the beginning of something sacred. And you, beloved chosen one, were meant to be here for it. Chosen one, have you ever noticed when the ringing in your ears appears? It's rarely in the middle of chaos or noise. It doesn't arrive during loud distractions or while you're rushing through your daily routine. No, it shows up in stillness. In quiet. In those rare moments when the outside world fades and something inside of you begins to stir. For many, it happens just before sleep, when the mind begins to slow and the subconscious starts to open. For others, it emerges in the heart of deep meditation, when the soul is finally free to rise above the mental chatter. Sometimes it's during an introspective moment, when you're reflecting, not reacting, when you finally allow your spirit to speak. These moments are not accidental. They are sacred. When the physical senses take a step back, the spiritual senses step forward. Your soul becomes more receptive to what lies beyond. The boundaries between this world and the unseen begin to blur, and in that space, thin as it may be, a signal comes. Not a thunderous voice. Not a dramatic flash. But a sound. A hum. A frequency. A vibration. What if that ringing in your ears is heaven whispering? In the Bible, we find a powerful example of how God speaks, not through noise, but through sacred silence. In 1 Kings 19 verse 12, the prophet Elijah, desperate and afraid, sought God in the mighty wind. But God was not there. Then came an earthquake. Still, he was not in it. Then came a fire, but God did not reveal himself there either. Finally, Elijah heard a still, small voice. And it was in that quiet, that gentle whisper, that God spoke. Now pause for a moment. Could it be that the ringing you hear, the one others ignore, is that very whisper? Could it be your still, small voice, cutting through the noise of life, asking you to pay attention, to remember who you are, and to recognize that you are not alone in your experience? So many people dismiss this sound as nothing. They call it random, meaningless, a quirk of biology. But for the awakened soul, for those who are spiritually sensitive and attuned, this is not noise. It's a signal. A sacred interruption. A moment of divine alignment. You are not losing your mind. You are tuning in. You are perceiving something your physical ears cannot fully understand, but your spirit immediately recognizes, a frequency not of this world. This sound is not meant to disrupt you. It's meant to return you to yourself. It is not chaos, it is invitation. When you hear it, the question is not, why now, but rather, what is being said? What is the message encoded in the silence? What is your spirit trying to reveal? And if you're still unsure, if your mind is seeking something more tangible, look to science. Look to Nikola Tesla. One of the most brilliant minds in human history, Tesla didn't just invent revolutionary machines, he also explored energy and frequency in ways that modern science is only now beginning to catch up with. Tesla often spoke about receiving insights through what he described as vibrational transmissions. He believed that to unlock the secrets of the universe, one must think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Tesla didn't speak from fantasy. He lived in awareness. He experienced what many of us overlook. What if the ringing in your ears is just that, a vibrational message, a frequency your spirit has begun to recognize? What if the very fabric of your reality is shifting, and this sound is a sign that your soul is being recalibrated to receive higher wisdom? This is not mysticism for the sake of wonder, it is a convergence of spirit and science, of faith and frequency. It is a reminder that you are more than a body. You are a being of energy. A soul of light. And when that ringing comes, it may not be asking you to panic, it may be asking you to pause. So next time the ringing appears, don't brush it off. Don't roll your eyes and rush forward. Instead, do the opposite, stop. Breathe. Center yourself. Ask, what is being spoken in this silence? What is trying to reach me? You see, chosen one, not everyone hears the call. Not everyone has the ears to hear or the heart to respond. But you do. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening. Because your journey is not one of randomness, but of divine coordination. The ringing is not a disturbance. It's a reminder. A confirmation. A gentle knock from heaven saying, you're on the right path. Keep listening. Stay present. More is coming. And now that you know this sound might be a spiritual signal, will you treat it differently? Will you listen with reverence, with discernment, with gratitude? Or will you go back to silence without listening? The choice is always yours. But remember, God doesn't always shout. Sometimes He rings. What if I told you, the ringing in your ears is not just a background sound, not just a quirk of your biology? It is not an inconvenience. It is not a coincidence. It is a wake-up call from the divine. A holy interruption. A sacred alarm gently sounding within your soul, reminding you that something deeper is unfolding, right now, in this very moment. You see, this ringing does not come randomly. It arrives with purpose. It shows up to awaken what has been dormant. To stir the places in you that have grown numb from routine. It is not just sound, it is spirit trying to reach you. It is your higher self, your angels, and even God Himself saying, "Wake up. You are being called." Think about it. Reflect for a moment. When does it tend to happen? Is it before making a big decision? When you are overwhelmed with doubt or on the edge of transformation? Do you hear it during moments of emotional turbulence, or right as you are about to shift directions? These are not coincidences, they are divine timings. What if the ringing always seems to appear when your soul is trying to tell you something, but your conscious mind is too busy to hear it? What if the ringing shows up right when your spirit says, "Enough sleepwalking. Come back to presence. Come back to alignment"? This sound, this gentle, persistent frequency, may be the first clue that your life is entering a higher spiritual terrain. It might be the universe tapping on the door of your awareness. And yet, how often do we ignore it? How often do we brush it aside as nothing? But here's the truth, chosen one, nothing that awakens your attention without warning is ever nothing. Especially not this. When the ringing comes, you are not meant to rush past it. You are meant to pause. You are being invited to check in with yourself. What are you thinking at that moment? What emotions are swirling within you? Is it fear? Is it anticipation? Is there a deep, unspoken question that has been lingering in your heart? The ringing is not just a message, it is a mirror. It reflects your current spiritual state and invites you to explore what lies beneath the surface. It's not always about figuring it out with your head. It's about sensing it with your heart. It's about becoming still enough to feel where your soul is leading you next. Chosen one, don't underestimate the weight of this spiritual alarm. It doesn't blare like a siren. It whispers. But that whisper carries the authority of heaven. That vibration is aligned with divine rhythm, and it shows up in the lives of those who are meant to carry a sacred message. People like you. This is why the ringing can feel so intimate, so strangely personal. Because it is. It's not a mass broadcast, it's a soul transmission. It's encoded just for you. Just as the prophets in the Bible were called by God through dreams, visions, and signs, you too are being summoned. And just like them, your response will determine how far you rise. So now the question becomes not, why is this happening? But, am I willing to listen? Are you willing to pause, to breathe, to come home to yourself in the exact moment the ringing occurs? Are you willing to ask, what is my soul trying to reveal to me right now? Are you open to the possibility that the answers you've been searching for are already within you, whispered quietly beneath the surface of your consciousness? The ringing is not trying to distract you. It is trying to redirect you. From fear to faith. From confusion to clarity. From routine to revelation. This is a divine nudge, a sacred knock, an invitation into higher awareness. And it is not accidental that you are here, reading these words, recognizing this truth. You were brought here because the message is meant for you. Your soul has reached the edge of something new. You are standing at the threshold of greater wisdom, greater alignment, greater purpose. Now, it's time to respond. So the next time the ringing returns, don't just notice it, receive it. Stop what you're doing, even if only for a breath. Bring your full awareness into that moment. Ask, what is trying to awaken within me? And then, listen. Listen as if heaven itself were trying to speak to you, because it is. This isn't just a sound. This is your divine wake-up call. And it's time to answer. If the ringing in your ears is not just a random noise, but a divine wake-up call, then what comes next? The answer lies in the language of signs, subtle, sacred, and undeniable for those who have been marked by heaven for something greater. Throughout history, God has always spoken through signs. They were never given at random. They were personal, intentional, and divinely timed. In Exodus 3 verse 2, Moses encountered the burning bush, a flame that blazed yet did not consume, calling him into a destiny that would shake nations. And in Matthew 2 verse 2, the wise men followed a mysterious star across the night sky, a celestial signal leading them straight to the birth of Christ. These were not mere anomalies in nature. These were holy invitations, designed for specific individuals, at specific moments, for divine purposes. So now I ask you, what if this ringing in your ears is your burning bush? What if it's your guiding star? What if what you're hearing is not just energy, it's the sound of a calling? Chosen one, you must understand this, signs have never been for the masses. They are for the few who are willing to perceive them. For the spiritually awake. For the soul that refuses to sleep through their own transformation. These divine signs, just like the ringing in your ears, are given with purpose, not coincidence. If you've been asking for confirmation, this could be it. If you've been searching for clarity, this might be heaven's subtle way of saying, I see you. I'm calling you. But let's be honest, not all signs appear with fire or stars. Some come in quieter, more curious ways. Perhaps you've noticed this. You think about someone out of the blue, and they call you within moments. Or you glance at the clock and see 1:11 or 4:44 over and over again. At first, it feels strange, almost laughable. But then it keeps happening. And the timing is always just a little too perfect. These are not coincidences. These are synchronicities, divinely orchestrated patterns that appear to get your attention, to confirm that you're aligned with something bigger than you. Have you felt that before? A strange alignment of events. A knowing that there's something going on beneath the surface of your reality. That's not your imagination, it's spiritual intelligence trying to break through. You are not being paranoid. You are becoming perceptive. Because those who are chosen often begin to notice things others dismiss. The energy around them shifts. The veil grows thinner. They begin to see. Chosen one, I want you to understand something sacred. When God has a mission for your life, He will not leave you clueless. He will leave signs. And if your heart is open, He will make sure you know it's Him. But the responsibility lies in your response. Are you paying attention? Or are you still brushing off the patterns and the pull inside you? What if this ringing is not just a sign, but a summons? What if you're not just noticing synchronicities, but being spiritually initiated into your assignment? You see, signs are sacred. They are invitations disguised as ordinary moments. And only the awake will recognize them. Think again about Moses, he could have walked past that burning bush. The wise men could have ignored the star. But they chose to stop. They chose to respond. So I ask you now, will you do the same? Will you pause long enough to ask, what is this trying to show me? Will you look beyond the veil and say, yes, I see you, Lord, I'm listening? Because the signs don't just appear for entertainment. They appear as confirmation that your time has come. That your preparation has matured into purpose. That heaven is aligning your steps. And this ringing in your ears, this undeniable pull, this cascade of synchronicities, it's not just noise. It's destiny knocking. This is how the divine speaks, not in volume, but in precision. Not always in spectacle, but always in timing. And if these signs have been surrounding you, then it's time to take them seriously. They mean you've been seen. You've been chosen. You are standing on the edge of something sacred. So don't ignore it. Don't dismiss what keeps returning. The ringing, the numbers, the moments that feel too orchestrated to be accidental, they're not asking for your analysis. They're asking for your surrender. For your attention. For your answer. Because God still speaks through signs. And if you are hearing them, then make no mistake, you are not ordinary. You have been set apart for a holy purpose. And now, all of heaven is waiting on your response. If you've been experiencing the ringing, if you felt it pulse through your ears at the strangest moments, like a whisper cutting through the noise of life, then it's time to take the next sacred step. Do not just experience it, document it. Because what you are receiving is not noise. It is a message. And the first step to decoding a divine language is to start listening intentionally. Get yourself a notebook, a sacred journal, something simple yet dedicated. And every time the ringing occurs, stop for a moment. Write down the exact time it happened. Where were you? What were you feeling? What thoughts were you thinking right before it started? Were you reflecting on something? Did a decision weigh heavy on your heart? Did fear or clarity suddenly wash over you? These are not small details, they are threads in a spiritual pattern uniquely woven for you. Because here is the truth, over time, a map will begin to emerge. At first, the entries may seem scattered, random, even. But if you remain faithful in recording, you will begin to see something extraordinary. The seemingly disconnected moments will start to align. The signs will begin to form a divine sequence, showing you not only what is happening, but why. You will notice that the ringing comes more frequently when you are at a crossroads, when your spirit is soft and listening, when you are near a breakthrough or standing on the edge of emotional release. You may realize that it happens every time you doubt yourself, or right before something significant is revealed to you. This is not coincidence. This is the Spirit communicating in patterns, and it takes spiritual maturity to recognize them. Great minds throughout history have understood this practice. Leonardo da Vinci, one of the most extraordinary thinkers the world has ever known, filled thousands of pages with not just inventions, but observations, feelings, and sensations. He understood that the wisdom of the universe reveals itself slowly, and only to those who are attentive. He didn't discard the subtle, he chased it. He honored it. And because of that, he left behind blueprints of genius that still impact the world. Albert Einstein, too, spoke openly about the way insights would come to him, not through formulas or effort, but as if they were delivered from somewhere far beyond logic. He called them intuitive revelations, and admitted that some of his greatest ideas arrived as flashes of understanding, beyond explanation. These were not just moments, they were spiritual downloads, the result of a mind and heart open to the unseen. So why wouldn't the same be possible for you? Chosen one, when you begin to treat these moments with reverence, you create a bridge between experience and understanding. You no longer feel confused or lost in the mystery, you begin to walk with insight. You're no longer asking, why does this keep happening? You're discovering, this is what it means when it does. And that shift, from reaction to revelation, is how you step into mastery. You become someone who doesn't just experience spiritual signs, but interprets them. Someone who no longer wanders, but walks in alignment. You see, heaven speaks in more than words. It speaks in feelings, frequencies, and patterns. It leaves traces for the seeker, but it hides nothing from the one who dares to follow the trail. When you keep a record, you are telling the divine, I'm paying attention. You are showing the universe that you honor the message, not just the moment. And here's what will happen, as you keep journaling, you will begin to notice the connections, the days you were most anxious, the moments you were about to give up, the conversations that sparked the ringing. You'll uncover rhythms in your own spiritual landscape. You'll see that the ringing often came right before answers arrived. That it was a prelude to clarity, not chaos. That it marked the threshold between confusion and divine confirmation. This practice is not superstition, it is sacred discipline. It is not passive, it is spiritually strategic. And it belongs to those who are ready to grow, to discern, and to align. So start today. Don't let another divine moment slip into forgetfulness. That ringing you heard last night? That one that stirred something in your chest? Record it. And tomorrow, when it comes again, record that one too. Because in the silence between those moments, a pattern is forming. And within that pattern is guidance. Within that guidance is truth. And within that truth, chosen one, is your next step. Have you ever paused to consider which side the ringing in your ears is coming from? It may seem like a small detail, but what if I told you that this distinction holds deep spiritual significance, one that could help you understand not just what is being said to you from the unseen realm, but also who is speaking, and why? You see, not every ringing is the same. The message you're receiving, and the source from which it comes, can shift depending on whether it occurs in your left ear or your right. This isn't just symbolic. It's deeply spiritual. It's about how you receive divine information and how your soul processes external or internal signals. Let's begin with the left ear. This side is not just a point on your physical body. It is often referred to as the gateway to your inner world, the space where your intuition, your higher self, and sometimes even the Holy Spirit whispers directly to your heart. When the ringing appears in your left ear, it's not likely to be about what's going on around you, it's about what's happening within. Your soul could be trying to break through the noise of everyday life to tell you, pay attention. I'm trying to show you something. Maybe you've been ignoring a feeling, doubting an inner knowing, or brushing off a gut instinct. But when the left ear rings, it's a clear call to turn inward, to quiet the outside world and ask, what truth am I avoiding? What am I sensing deep within me that I need to trust? Left ear ringing is like a private message from God, coded through your own spirit. It comes when you need to be reminded of who you are, what you carry, and the direction your heart has been quietly trying to take. In those moments, do not dismiss the sound. Instead, pause. Sit still. Reflect. The answer may already be inside you, waiting to be acknowledged. Now consider the right ear. If the left is the channel of intuition, then the right is the receiver of external energy, the spiritual frequency that flows through people, conversations, environments, and the unseen forces surrounding you. When the ringing comes through your right ear, it's often a spiritual alert, a signal from heaven or your angelic guides that something outside of you needs your discernment. This could be a warning about a person's energy, a sign to pay attention to your surroundings, or even a confirmation that something you just heard or observed holds divine relevance. Think about this. Have you ever been in a conversation and suddenly felt the ringing in your right ear right as someone said something that didn't sit right with you? Have you entered a room and instantly felt a shift in atmosphere, followed by that high-pitched hum that pierced through your awareness? That's not just physical. That's spiritual radar. It's your spirit signaling that something around you has shifted, and you need to either draw close, or take a step back. The right ear, then, is your divine defense system. It helps you read the room beyond appearances. It filters through spiritual noise and delivers impressions your physical eyes may miss. When it rings, God may be warning you to tread carefully. Or He may be confirming that the moment you're in is charged with purpose, and you need to be fully present. Now here is where the real power comes in. Once you learn to distinguish which ear is ringing, and combine that awareness with what you're thinking or experiencing at the time, you begin to develop a spiritual compass. You are no longer wandering. You are navigating. That's why I urge you, the next time the ringing comes, to take a sacred pause and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Where am I? Who am I with? What decision is before me? Whether the message is internal or external, the point is clarity, clarity that is meant to guide you, protect you, and awaken you. Let this truth settle in your spirit. You are not merely hearing a sound. You are receiving a coded signal, a divinely timed frequency meant to draw your attention to something your soul needs to perceive. The ringing in your left ear is your spirit whispering, trust me. I know the way. The ringing in your right ear is the universe saying, look around. Something is shifting. Be alert. And here's the beautiful part. When you begin to pay attention, when you start recognizing the difference and honoring it, you unlock a deeper level of awareness. You will notice patterns you missed before. You will make decisions not from pressure, but from peace. You will begin to walk not just by sight, but by spiritual alignment. So chosen one, from this moment forward, don't just hear, listen intentionally. Let every ringing be a prompt to pause, reflect, and receive. Because when you truly understand the difference between the left and the right, you're no longer guessing what heaven is trying to say. You're hearing it loud and clear. By now you've come to realize that the ringing in your ears is not some meaningless sound, it's a signal. But let's pause for a moment and take this one level deeper. Because not every ring is a sweet confirmation. Not every vibration is meant to affirm your spiritual alignment. Sometimes, the sound is a warning. Yes, a spiritual warning, an urgent alert from the invisible realm, nudging your spirit before your mind can even catch up. While many of these tones arrive as gentle invitations toward awakening or reassurance of divine presence, others come like an inner siren, a high-pitched frequency that cuts through your awareness and whispers, something is off. And often, this kind of ringing doesn't show up when you're meditating or praying, it shows up when you're walking into rooms you shouldn't be in, engaging with people who carry energy your spirit can't digest, or stepping into spaces spiritually unsafe for you. Have you ever noticed the ringing start when you walk into a place that feels heavy, tense, or spiritually dense? You don't see anything wrong with your eyes. But your spirit knows. Your body tightens. You feel an unease you can't logically explain. And suddenly, there it is. That high-pitched hum in your ear. That's not coincidence. That's a spiritual perimeter alarm going off. That's heaven saying, this is not your environment. Be alert. Guard your energy. Or maybe it happens when you're around someone who seems nice on the surface, but you feel your peace begin to fade in their presence. You smile. You talk. But deep inside, there's a nudge, a pressure, a subtle ringing that won't go away. Chosen one, don't ignore that. That's your spiritual radar. It's not paranoia. It's protection. Your body, your temple, is incredibly wise. It picks up on energetic shifts before your logic can comprehend them. A sudden headache, shortness of breath, a tightening in the chest, or even that distinct ringing in your ears, these are not just biological reactions. They are spiritual reactions. And the ringing, in particular, is like a divine push notification. It's the Holy Spirit prompting you to step back, reassess, and shield your energy. Let me remind you of something sacred. The Bible says in Ephesians 6 verse 12, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." This means that what you sense, even if you can't prove it with the five senses, is real. The battles you're being warned about aren't always visible. But they are happening, in real time, in the spiritual realm. And that's not all. In 1 John 4 verse 1, we are commanded, "Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God." The implication here is clear, not every spirit that comes near you carries holy intention. Not every vibration is divine in origin. Some are counterfeit. Some are designed to deceive, distract, or drain you. And the ringing in your ears might just be your soul screaming out, "Pay attention. Something isn't what it seems." This is why discernment is not optional, it's vital. You were never called to walk through this world blindly. You were called to walk with awareness. And this awareness begins not just with your eyes, but with your spirit-led sensitivity. The ringing in your ears can serve as confirmation, yes, but it can also serve as correction. As redirection. As a call to withdraw and reposition. So here's the unspoken truth: when you hear that sound in a moment that doesn't feel right, don't stay silent inside. Ask yourself, what's happening in this space? Who am I around? What am I feeling? Is my peace intact? If the answer to those questions sends up a flag, trust that flag. The ringing isn't trying to scare you. It's trying to spare you. You have been given a spiritual system of alerts, a built-in early warning mechanism, divinely tuned for your safety and purpose. When it activates, don't brush it off. Instead, pause. Step away if needed. Pray. Call on divine covering. And most importantly, believe that your perception is valid. Because God never leaves his chosen ones unguarded. He equips them with inner knowing so that they won't be caught off guard by outer threats. So the next time you hear the ringing, especially in a negative or heavy atmosphere, don't assume it's just your ear reacting. Recognize it for what it is, a sacred sound with a serious message. Heaven is speaking. Your spirit is listening. Your only job is to heed the call and stay protected. Because when you learn to respond to the warnings as faithfully as you respond to the affirmations, you become spiritually unstoppable. Now that you've come to understand that the ringing in your ears is not just a random sound, but at times, a spiritual alert, you must take the next step with intention, protecting your energy. This is not a suggestion. This is a sacred assignment. In a world vibrating with chaotic frequencies, those who are spiritually sensitive, especially those who have been called, must learn not only how to discern energy, but how to shield their own from unnecessary harm. The truth is, you are never without protection. God has always had his hand on you. But he also calls you to partner with him in keeping your soul guarded. Being chosen does not mean being passive. It means walking in conscious awareness of your energetic surroundings, knowing when to step forward and when to retreat, when to open your spirit and when to seal it off with divine boundaries. So how do you protect yourself in a realm that cannot be seen but can surely be felt? How do you stay spiritually grounded in an atmosphere full of invisible attacks, draining spirits, and unseen manipulation? You begin with prayer. Prayer is your first and most powerful line of defense. When you pray, not out of fear but from awareness, you raise your frequency and open a direct channel between your spirit and the divine. Prayer activates protection, calls forth angelic assistance, and cloaks your soul in holy fire. It is more than words, it's a declaration of your alignment, a statement that says, I know where my help comes from, and I claim it now. From there, move into meditation, not as an escape, but as a return. Meditation isn't about emptying your mind, it's about creating enough inner stillness to feel what's truly influencing you. In that quiet, you'll discern energies that your conscious mind can't explain. You'll feel what's yours and what's not. Meditation stabilizes your inner terrain, purges interference, and strengthens your spiritual center. And if the ringing in your ears begins in a place that feels heavy, toxic, or draining, leave. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Your soul does not require permission to exit what harms it. You do not owe anyone your continued presence in an atmosphere that pollutes your peace. Honor your inner radar. When something feels off, it usually is. That is your discernment speaking, and it is sacred. You can also enhance your protection through visualization. Close your eyes and imagine a radiant shield of light, white, golden, or silver, surrounding your entire being. This is not make-believe. It is a spiritual act of faith. Picture this light wrapping around you like armor, glowing with God's presence. Let it pulse with strength. Let it respond to your intention. And as you envision this, remember the promise in Psalm 91 verse 4, He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. You are not alone. You are covered. You are hidden in the shadow of the Almighty, and no spiritual force of darkness can penetrate the covering He gives when you stand in faith. For those of you who resonate with physical tools, consider using crystals, sound frequencies, and energetic boundaries. These are not New Age gimmicks, they are ancient instruments that have been used for generations to support spiritual protection. Crystals like black tourmaline can absorb and transmute negative energy. Selenite is known for cleansing your aura and space. You can carry them, place them in your home, or keep them near you when praying or meditating. Sound cleansing is another powerful method, using bells, chimes, or high-frequency tones, like 432 Hz or 528 Hz, to break stagnant energy and restore harmony. Music, when charged with divine intent, becomes more than entertainment, it becomes a weapon. And then there is the art of setting boundaries, not just emotional ones, but spiritual ones. Not everyone should have access to your energy. Just because someone wants to be close to you doesn't mean they're meant to be. Learn to say no without guilt. Learn to walk away without explanation. Your energy is holy. Treat it like sacred ground. Chosen one, the truth is, the more awakened you become, the more sensitive you will be to energy shifts, people's intentions, and spiritual atmospheres. This is not something to fear. It is a divine gift. But it must be guarded. You are not here to be constantly drained, manipulated, or worn down by invisible forces. You are here to shine, to serve, and to stand strong in your divine assignment. So guard your light, not from a place of paranoia, but from a place of honor. Guard it the way you'd guard a candle in the wind. The flame is small, but powerful. And when protected, it becomes a beacon in the darkness. If you do this, if you commit to spiritual protection as a daily habit, not a reactive ritual, you will not just survive this season, you will radiate through it. You will walk through chaotic environments with peace that confuses the enemy. You will step into unfamiliar places and remain untouched. And the next time the ringing comes, you won't just hear it. You'll understand it. You'll respond to it with faith, not fear, because you'll know, you are shielded, covered, and completely surrounded by divine light. What if the ringing in your ears wasn't just a sound, but a sacred signal that something deep within you is shifting? Not a distraction. Not a symptom. But a confirmation that your spiritual frequency is being tuned to a higher resonance. You're not losing control, you're aligning with something greater than logic, something divine. When your energy begins to shift, it often doesn't announce itself with loud explosions or grand signs. It begins quietly. Subtly. Often in moments of stillness or contemplation. The ringing is one of the first clues, a frequency that breaks through the veil to say, you are rising. You are activating. You are being recoded. This transformation is often linked to the awakening of your higher chakras, specifically the third eye and the crown chakra. These are not just mystical concepts, they are energetic centers that govern your ability to see, sense, and connect beyond the physical world. The third eye chakra, located between your eyebrows, is the seat of intuition. When this center activates, you begin to see things differently. Your perceptions deepen. You may have flashes of knowing, sense emotions before words are spoken, or feel truth vibrate inside your body without needing external validation. You begin to trust that there is more happening behind the scenes, because you can feel it, even if you can't explain it. The crown chakra, at the top of your head, is your gateway to divine consciousness. It connects you to Source, to God, to the universal intelligence that holds all things together. When this chakra opens, you may begin to feel waves of peace for no reason, moments of clarity that arrive out of nowhere, or the unmistakable sensation that you are not alone, that you are being guided. And yes, the ringing in your ears can be one of the first signs these chakras are activating. Your body is catching up to your spirit. You are being recalibrated. Many people on the path of awakening begin to notice other physical sensations accompanying the ringing, things they can't explain, but deeply feel. Perhaps you've experienced a sudden chill or a rush of warmth moving through your body. A tingle on your forehead. A pulsing sensation at the crown of your head. These are not coincidences. These are energetic signatures, evidence that your inner world is being realigned. And then comes the sharpening of your intuition. You start to pick up on patterns. Synchronicities appear with startling clarity. You think of someone, and they call. You dream of a place, and find yourself there a week later. You begin to receive messages, not always with words, but with symbols, with signs, with feelings that cut through confusion like a blade. This is the Spirit speaking. This is your soul remembering its language. Don't dismiss this. Don't second-guess it. These aren't accidents, they're alignments. Your awareness is expanding. You're learning to see in a realm that others still ignore. You're no longer just a witness to the spiritual world, you're becoming a participant. A translator. A bridge. And yes, it can feel disorienting. This isn't just emotional. It's energetic. When your vibration rises, it disrupts the old frequencies, habits, thoughts, environments, that no longer resonate with who you are becoming. That ringing in your ears is sometimes the sound of heaven tuning your instrument. You are becoming more sensitive, but also more precise. More powerful. You're being taught to listen not just with your ears, but with your entire being. Because every message from the divine doesn't come through a booming voice, it comes through alignment. Through resonance. Through the quiet but unmistakable pull toward truth. Let me be clear, this is not a phase. This is a reprogramming of your inner landscape. You're being shaped for something greater. The ringing isn't chaos. It's coordination. It's the announcement that your energy is syncing with the divine flow. The more you surrender to it, the more it makes sense. So if you've been feeling different, if your body's been behaving strangely, if you've been receiving downloads of insight that come out of nowhere, you're not broken. You're being rebuilt. You're not malfunctioning. You're evolving. You are aligning with a higher frequency. This is why things that used to interest you now feel empty. Why people you once resonated with now feel distant. Why your soul is calling you into solitude more often, because solitude is not loneliness, it's preparation. God is not punishing you with this season. He's preparing you for what you've prayed for. And this recalibration must come first. Chosen one, hear me, the ringing in your ears may have started as a whisper, but its meaning is loud and clear, you are no longer who you used to be. Something sacred is awakening within you. Your energy is ascending, and your soul is responding. Trust it. Follow it. And don't be afraid of the unknown. Because what's waiting for you on the other side of this transformation will make the confusion worth it, the discomfort meaningful, and the silence sacred. Spiritual awakening is not always glorious. It's not all peace, light, and mountaintop moments. In fact, for many of God's chosen ones, it begins in the valley. It begins with confusion, disconnection, a sense of not belonging to what once felt familiar. The ringing in your ears. That was the beginning of the call. But this moment where your world feels like it's shifting under your feet, this is the birth canal of transformation. And birth is never quiet. It's painful, messy, but holy. If you're feeling lost, questioning everything, struggling to recognize yourself, hear this clearly, you are not broken. You are awakening. And awakening shakes everything that is not in alignment with truth. It challenges every identity you've ever worn, every belief you held as solid, every structure you once depended on for meaning. You may feel like you're floating between worlds, no longer at home in the old, but not yet grounded in the new. This is not a failure. It's a sacred recalibration. You're not falling apart. You're being reassembled. Even the greatest in Scripture passed through this spiritual threshold. Abraham was called to leave everything he knew, his land, his people, his comfort, to walk toward a promise with no map, no guarantee, just the voice of God saying, "Go." He obeyed without knowing. And maybe that's where you are now. Moses, the reluctant leader, questioned his worth when God asked him to speak. "Who am I that I should go?" he asked, Exodus 3 verse 11. He felt unworthy, ill-equipped, unqualified. Sound familiar? So many chosen ones feel the same. God calls us when we still feel fragile. Even the disciples of Jesus, who walked beside the Son of God himself, did not always understand. They struggled to make sense of the mission. They doubted, feared, scattered. And yet they were still called, still chosen, still trusted with the gospel. So if you're walking through uncertainty, know this, you are in divine company. The path of awakening often leads through what feels like a wilderness. But in the wilderness, God speaks. Not through noise, but through knowing. Not through comfort, but through clarity. And yes, sometimes through silence. That silence doesn't mean abandonment. It means you are being invited into deeper trust. You are not alone. Read that again. You are not alone. God's presence doesn't always announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it moves quietly, like a whisper in the soul, a tug at your heart, a stillness that holds you when words fail. Just because you don't feel him, doesn't mean he left. His promises are not rooted in your emotions. They are grounded in his eternal faithfulness. You are being guided. Even now. Even in the fog. Especially in the fog. There is something sacred about not knowing. Because when you don't know the way forward, you learn to follow the one who does. Faith is not about seeing clearly, it's about moving when God says move. And many times, the first step he asks you to take, is inward. Into the silence. Into surrender. Into deeper listening. Perhaps you've outgrown the world around you, and that ache you feel. That's the sign. The disconnection from your old patterns, people, and passions. That's the shedding of what no longer serves your assignment. You're not lost, you're being led. You're not disconnected, you're being reconnected to your higher calling. This spiritual awakening is not just a season, it's a shift. It is a divine breaking open so that the truth planted inside of you can finally grow roots and rise. And yes, growth hurts. Yes, clarity requires chaos to clear the clutter. But through every tear, every question, every dark night, you are moving closer to who God designed you to be before the world told you who you should become. This is not punishment. This is preparation. The Lord does not begin a good work in you without finishing it. Philippians 1 verse 6. The same God who called you out of the familiar will carry you through the unknown. His timing is perfect. His plan is unfolding. And your process, however confusing, is purposeful. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me, begin asking, what is this awakening within me? You are being stirred. You are being summoned. Not to stay the same. Not to shrink back. But to step into something eternal, something sacred, something that has been written over your life since before you took your first breath. Chosen one, your awakening may be messy. It may feel lonely. But it is holy. You are walking the same path as Abraham, Moses, and the disciples. They weren't perfect. They were human. But they were willing. And so are you. So breathe. Ground yourself in the truth, you are not late. You are not off course. You are awakening exactly on time. Let this discomfort confirm it. Let the silence affirm it. Let the ringing in your ears remind you, you are no longer asleep. You are becoming. In a world saturated with noise, distraction, and constant movement, your soul is starving for something different, stillness. Not the kind of silence where nothing is happening, but the sacred stillness where everything finally begins to make sense. If you've been wondering why divine messages feel distant, why clarity seems delayed, this may be the reason. Your soul needs a sanctuary. A place, not defined by architecture or ritual, but by intentionality. A space where heaven can speak and you can truly hear. You don't need a cathedral. You don't need incense or stained glass. What you need is a space you treat as sacred. A small corner in your home, a sunlit chair by the window, or a quiet spot in the woods, anywhere you can consistently withdraw from the chaos of the world and return to your inner alignment. This space isn't about aesthetics, it's about presence. About creating room for God to whisper. Because without stillness, the whisper is drowned out. Not because God isn't speaking, but because we haven't made the room to listen. Creating a sacred space doesn't require perfection. It only requires sincerity. Find a place where you feel safe, calm, and unseen by the world's expectations. Add a candle. Let in the soft glow of natural light. Maybe you place a cross, a crystal, a journal, or your Bible nearby, not as decoration, but as anchors to your intention. This is not about religious performance. This is about relational posture. You are saying to God with your actions, I'm here. I'm ready to hear. And once that space is made, the next step is sacred stillness. There are practices that open your spirit to the divine frequency, simple, yet powerful tools that quiet the outer noise and awaken your inner sanctuary. Start with deep breathing, not just to calm your body, but to align your energy. Let each breath be a prayer. Inhale presence. Exhale pressure. With every breath, you surrender more of your need to control and enter the rhythm of divine trust. Try light meditation. Picture a gentle stream of light flowing from above, enveloping you in warmth and clarity. Let it cleanse the mental static, wash away fear, and fill you with the peace that transcends understanding. This isn't imagination. This is alignment. Practice true silence, not just the absence of noise, but the suspension of striving. No fixing. No analyzing. Just being. Because sometimes the loudest word God speaks is through silence itself. And if you can, retreat into nature. Let the trees pray over you. Let the wind testify. Let the river remind you that movement doesn't always mean chaos, it can mean flow. God speaks through His creation, not just in words but in presence. The natural world carries frequencies untouched by human interference. Go there and let it recalibrate your spirit. This rhythm of sacred retreat is not optional. It is modeled for us by Christ Himself. Luke 5 verse 16 says, "But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed." The Son of God, perfect, complete, divine, chose stillness as part of His rhythm. He stepped away from the noise, the crowds, even from the needs of those who followed Him, to reconnect with the Father. If Jesus needed that space of communion and quiet, how much more do we? Let that verse anchor you. If the Savior of the world required stillness to align with His mission, you are not weak for needing it, you are wise. There is a deep misunderstanding today that equates stillness with idleness, that rest is laziness, or that silence is unproductive. But spiritually, the opposite is true. In the stillness, you begin to discern the difference between your thoughts and God's voice. In the silence, you stop reacting, and begin responding. In sacred space, you don't escape the world, you re-enter it with power. So, what does this mean for you today? It means create the space, even if it's 10 minutes in the morning, even if it's just a quiet breath before you open your phone, even if it's a silent prayer whispered while walking under the sky. Make space. Be still. And you will remember what your spirit already knows: God has never stopped speaking. You just needed to get quiet enough to hear Him again. And from this sacred stillness, we prepare to enter a deeper work, the holy cleansing of energies that no longer serve your divine path. Because once you learn to hear again, the next invitation is this: to release. To purify. To rise. What if the ringing in your ears isn't just a message to interpret, but a sign that something is being released from within you? A shedding. A cleansing. A sacred discharge of old energy that no longer belongs. While many associate the sound with divine downloads or heavenly warnings, there is another sacred function of this phenomenon: energetic purification. Your spirit is not just receiving light. It's making space for it. And in that process, everything that is not aligned with your next elevation must rise to the surface and exit. The spiritual path isn't always about gaining. Sometimes, it's about letting go. And when old emotions, patterns, and memories start flooding back unexpectedly, it doesn't mean you're regressing, it means you're being refined. You're being emptied, not abandoned. You're being purified, not punished. This ringing can mark the exact moment your soul begins a deeper detox, a release of spiritual static that was clogging your divine frequency. The noise may not come to deliver a word, but to clear the way so you can finally hear the voice that's been speaking all along. Have you recently felt old memories resurfacing? Deep emotions reawakening, grief, anger, shame, confusion, that you thought were long gone. Maybe you've been feeling more sensitive than usual, as if your emotional skin is thin and the world is pressing too hard. These are not signs of spiritual failure. These are signs of energetic cleansing. You are not breaking down. You are flushing out everything that was never meant to stay. It's important to understand the mechanics of this process. When you are being cleansed energetically, the body, the soul, and the subconscious all respond. You may feel sudden fatigue, pressure in your head or chest, waves of emotion with no clear trigger. These are signs that your energy field is recalibrating, your soul is expelling the residue of what used to bind you. The light is displacing the darkness, and that process is rarely neat or silent. So what can you do when this process begins? You don't resist. You cooperate. You move with it, not against it. And that's where intentional practices become crucial. There are sacred tools you can use to support this cleansing, to help your soul release with grace instead of struggle. Start with a cleansing bath, herbs, salts, warm water, silence. Use sea salt, lavender, eucalyptus, rosemary. Let the water become your sanctuary. Let it absorb what you are releasing. Imagine it drawing out every heavy energy, every thought that no longer serves, every wound that still lingers. This isn't just hygiene, it's holy. The ancients knew this. Scripture is filled with ceremonial washings as symbolic acts of spiritual preparation. Your bath can become a sacred ritual of rebirth. Practice deep breathing, not the shallow kind that barely touches the soul, but the breath that reaches your belly and reminds your nervous system that you are safe, held, and supported. Each inhale is a drawing in of divine light. Each exhale, a release of emotional debris. Let your breath become the bridge between what was and what will be. Let it carry the old away with compassion, not shame. And write. Journal the storm. Pour your emotions out onto paper. Don't filter. Don't censor. Just let it flow. Write what hurts. Write what confuses you. Write what needs to be said but cannot be spoken. When you write through your cleansing, you transform it. You turn chaos into clarity. You don't just survive the storm, you translate it into truth. This is not just emotional catharsis. It is soul alchemy. All of these practices are tools, not to avoid the discomfort, but to walk through it with grace. Because what's happening to you is not random. It is sacred. This is your soul clearing space. This is your system releasing what cannot exist in the place God is leading you. The ringing, the memories, the tears, they're not setbacks. They are signs. You are being made ready for the next level of your spiritual journey. You can't carry old weights into new atmospheres. You can't bring expired energy into a renewed identity. And the ringing in your ears may be the exact sound your soul makes as it exhales the past. Let it go. Don't fear it. Don't cling to it. Don't try to suppress it. Let it wash over you and through you, because what comes after this is not emptiness. It is expansion. So if you're feeling tired, emotional, uncertain, pause. Honor the release. You are not falling apart. You are falling into alignment. Your system is upgrading. Your soul is healing. And yes, your energy is cleansing. Soon, the heaviness will lift. The noise will soften. And what will remain is space, sacred, open space, for truth, for presence, for divine guidance to dwell. Remember, God is not just downloading into you, He's making room within you. And this, beloved, is the sound of transformation. There are moments in your spiritual journey when everything feels uncertain. The prayers seem unanswered. The direction unclear. You may begin to wonder, am I really hearing from God? Am I just imagining all of this? Why do I feel so alone when I've been trying so hard to follow Him? In those exact moments, quiet, confusing, in between, what if the ringing in your ears isn't just a random sound, but a divine whisper. A heavenly nod. A sacred sign that you are, in fact, right where you're supposed to be. The sound may not come with thunder or lightning. It may not offer answers in full sentences or give you a map. But it may be heaven's way of saying, I see you. Keep going. You're not lost. You're aligned. Sometimes, divine confirmation doesn't look like a miracle. Sometimes, it sounds like a hum, a vibration, a spiritual pulse echoing through your body as a sign that you are not walking alone. God often speaks in subtle ways. And one of the most tender of them is described in Jeremiah 33 verse 3, Call to me and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. This is not just a poetic verse. It is a promise. It is the eternal assurance that when your heart cries out, whether in joy or in exhaustion, He hears. And His response may not always come as thunder from the heavens. It might be a ringing in your ears that interrupts your thoughts just enough to remind you, He's listening. He's moving. He's speaking, even if your mind doesn't yet understand the language. So the next time that ringing happens, instead of dismissing it or fearing it, pause. Ask yourself, what was I just thinking? What was I feeling? Was I praying, wondering, doubting? That subtle sound might be the confirmation you've been quietly longing for. Not every divine confirmation arrives with external evidence. Some are planted like seeds within your spirit, meant to blossom slowly into full understanding. You may not see the fruit yet, but the root of faith is already growing. This is the sacred space between calling and clarity. And the ringing is often the bridge between the two. It may be God's gentle way of saying, I heard you when you prayed. I see the steps you've taken. I know it still looks cloudy, but your obedience is not in vain. In the realm of the Spirit, many answers arrive before they become visible. The sound is the signature. The inner stillness is the signature. That quiet moment when you know without knowing is often a deeper confirmation than 1,000 signs on the outside. This is why you must trust the process, even when your natural eyes can't yet see the destination. Because heaven speaks first to the heart, not to the circumstance. If the ringing in your ears is recurring, especially during moments of reflection, surrender, or inner wrestling, it might be a sign that your soul is hearing something your flesh has not yet caught up with. And that is a holy thing. Write these moments down. Make note of them. Return to them. They are sacred timestamps in your walk of faith. Each one is a spiritual breadcrumb that God is leaving to lead you forward. If you've been asking for confirmation, and this sound keeps returning at specific times, it may be the answer. Don't ignore it. And don't expect every confirmation to be wrapped in certainty. Some arrive wrapped in wonder. Jeremiah 33 verse 3 is not only a call to speak, it is a call to listen. It's an invitation to tune your soul to the frequency of the divine. It says that what God will show you is unsearchable, meaning, it won't always make sense to logic, but it will resonate with your spirit. That's what the ringing might be. A sign that you've tuned in. That the veil is thinning. That something sacred is near. So what should you do when you hear it again? Keep moving forward. Keep praying. Keep opening your heart. You don't need to know every detail to walk in obedience. You just need to keep responding to the frequency of faith. That ringing might be heaven's way of saying, you're not late. You're not missing it. Stay connected. Stay present. Stay believing. Sometimes, the sound itself is the answer. It may not explain everything, but it confirms enough for you to take the next step. That's all God requires, just the next step. The rest will unfold in due time. Confirmation isn't about control, it's about confidence. The confidence that, even when your vision is limited, your direction is divinely guided. So if you've been waiting for a sign, maybe this is it. Not in the way you expected, but in the way your spirit needed. The ringing is not random. It's a message. It's a marker. It's a spiritual imprint that heaven is near, and your journey is blessed, even if you can't see the full picture yet. This is the comfort we rest in, even when the path feels uncertain, the voice of God has never been silent. And sometimes, it doesn't shout. Sometimes, it rings. You are not here by accident. The ringing you've been hearing, the signs you've noticed, the emotional waves you've been riding, they are not just isolated spiritual moments. They are sacred pieces of a divine preparation. Yes, you are being prepared for something greater. Something deeper. Something holier. The discomfort, the awakening, the confusion, the revelations, they have all been part of the process of refinement. Heaven is not punishing you. It's promoting you. And this ringing? It may just be the sound of your soul shedding what no longer serves the next dimension of your calling. You have not been forgotten. You have been forged. Let that settle into your spirit. Every instance of ringing in your ears has not been random. Not one. Each one is a tap on your shoulder from the realm beyond sight, a coded whisper from the Spirit reminding you that you are seen, chosen, and covered. You are not going crazy, you are being calibrated. The frequency is shifting so that you can hear with spiritual ears what cannot yet be explained with natural understanding. And when you feel the world spinning faster, when your thoughts begin to swirl and your emotions intensify, pause. That's not chaos. That's transition. That's spiritual confirmation in motion. So don't ignore it. Don't rush through it. Pay attention. Each ring is a message. Each frequency is a thread in the pattern of your personal revelation. You're being shown something, not just for the sake of knowing, but for the sake of becoming. Becoming more attuned. Becoming more faithful. Becoming the version of you that heaven already sees and is now drawing forth. If this journey has stirred something in your spirit, I invite you to speak. To share. To step into the sacred conversation. Leave a comment below and share your experience. Not just for yourself, but for someone else who needs to hear, I'm not the only one. You never know who is silently searching for clarity, and your story might be the echo of God's answer in their life. And if you know someone who has been struggling with this same sensation, this same spiritual frequency, send this video to them. Be the bridge. Be the voice. Be the confirmation someone else is waiting for. This journey was never meant to be walked alone. We are being gathered, awakened, and prepared together. If this message resonated deeply with you, consider liking and subscribing, not out of obligation, but to stay in divine alignment with the messages God is still releasing. And if this video has touched your soul, if you feel led, you can support this mission with a super thanks. Not as a payment, but as a spiritual thank you, a gesture of faith and alignment. You see, this space we've created together is not just content. It's a sanctuary. It's a mirror. It's a confirmation zone. And every person who shares, engages, supports, becomes part of this unfolding spiritual mosaic that heaven is painting through our lives. So as we close this moment, I speak this over you from a place of deep knowing and reverence. May you continue to walk this path with courage and clarity. Courage to trust even when you can't trace the next step. Clarity to discern the difference between noise and divine direction. Courage to face what rises within you. Clarity to see that you were never left behind, only being refined. You are not broken. You are being broken open, for more light to come through. You are not lost. You are being rerouted to higher terrain. You are not behind. You are on holy time. And this ringing? This is not the end. It is an activation. A spiritual yes. A sign that something unseen has already been assigned. So take a breath. Stand tall. Your spirit knows the way forward, even if your mind still catches up. You are ready. You are rising. And the next time the ringing comes, don't fear it. Welcome it. Smile. You'll know exactly what it means. You are being prepared for something greater. And that greatness is already calling your name.